And a number of infrastructure facilities have been built.
Да, на сумму 23 миллиарда сомони построено и сдано в эксплуатацию более 2200 километров.
Now this all transport infrastructure has been put into operation, and the work is going on in this area. And Tajikistan, due to these very improvements, could improve its rank, international rank of global competitiveness, as indicated in Global Competitiveness Report, and it has been improved for 20 positions in the last 2 years. And this was recognized by the World Economic Forum. And in the coming years, we still have a lot of things to do. More than 1.5 thousand kilometers of international roads should be completed in the next few years. We have to improve the corridors, and we have 2 large projects, Dushanbe Bokhtar phase 1, phase 2 rehabilitation project, Obigar Nurobot project phase 1, and also together with Asian Development Bank to implement projects Hulbuk Timur Malik, Kangurt, and Dangara Bokhtar Gulistan. Were now selecting the contractors to start working in these sections. And Shambat Tursunzada, border with Uzbekistan, is also being reconstructed and was reconstructed together with the 2-level and 3-level estacade or highway road that was also renovated in the Dushanbe city, starting from the monument of Avicenna coming to the one of the districts. And we are now negotiating with the development partners in terms of continuation of this work and improvement of the city development and the road transportation in the city of Dushanbe. And we're inviting Asian Development Bank to take part also in this very city development project. We know that the Asian Development Bank is leading one single policy, and the Minister of Tajikistan is putting a lot of priorities on the unified transport policy, on introduction of the digitalization, and the appeal of His Excellency Momali Rahmon to the Parliament as of January 26, 2021, the special attention was paid to the digitalization, strengthening of institutional capacity and development of ICT infrastructure throughout the country. It should be noted that in the globalization of economy, the development of transport sector is not possible without digitalization. Therefore, based on the concept that has been approved as part of the state program just last year, and also together with the Parliament, so 26 modules for the improvement of the digitalization of roads have been approved. This introduction of the digital modules will improve the performance indicators, use of the road equipment and machineries, and controls the roads, controls the quality of the investment projects, provides for the effective and targeted spending of the state budget. It should be noted that the government of the Republic of Tajikistan on December 31st, 2020, introduced the RAMS Road Asset Management System action plan for the next 3 years from 2021 to 2024. The development of this action plan was highly supported, closely supported by the Asian Development Bank, and we are really appreciating these very efforts. And as part of the implementation of the activities as part of the implementation of the project Obigarno Robot. The support was provided, and Ministry of Transport has established the transport digitalization unit where 6 people have been designated, and now we're working in order to implement activities outlined in this action program. Dear colleagues, and you know that basically there is a stable development and in the recent decades. If in 1991, for example, the demographic situation in Dushanbe city was less than 1 million, now we could see that it is over 1 million. Including those who are living in Dushanbe on a temporary basis. Even though we see that the living standards are improving in Dushanbe city, we see that there is a high demand, and then there is an increased number of automobiles in Dushanbe city. The number of cars registered in Dushanbe city and the number of transport companies which are operating in Dushanbe is 100,000. And this means that we have increased number of units. At the same time, 30 kilometers have been the 30 kilometers of new roads have been constructed, while 276,000 meters have been rehabilitated. And we know that there is an increased demand and then for transportation, but there is also an increased traffic that we see in Dushanbe city, and we have to take this into consideration. We have to take into account while moving forward in implementation of our policy. Thank you very much for your attention. And I would like to apologize for taking a little bit more of your time than it was expected.
Thank you very much, Mr. Agdiam, for the good opening remarks. So I'd like to invite Ms. Shaini Campbell, Country Director of the Tajikistan Regional Mission, for her opening remarks on behalf of ADB. Over to you, Shaini. Thank you.
Thank you, Rika. Dear Mr. Azim Ibrahim, dear participants, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all. On behalf of ADB, it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to this first Business Opportunities Seminar in Tajikistan. I'd like to thank the government of Tajikistan, particularly the Ministry of Transport and our ADB team for organizing the seminar. ADB started its assistance to the country's transport sector in the late 1990s, and since then we've been involved in the development of the country's transport network in close partnership with the government. We note that the local contractors and consultants have actively participated in ADB financed transport projects. To leverage such movements in the country's markets relevant to the transport sector, we proposed this Business Opportunities Seminar specifically for the transport sector. In this seminar, we will go through the overview of ADB's business procedures, procurement frameworks, and principles related to anti-corruption, integrity, and corruption, as well as potential business opportunities under the ADB financed road projects. The seminar will consist of several speeches and presentations, followed by a question and answer session. Please let me introduce our speakers. We have Mr. Rustam Abdulkayumov. He's the Director of ADB Procurement Division 2 and will make an introductory speech. Mr. Farouk Nuruddinov, Senior Project Officer from our Tajikistan Resident Mission. He will present business opportunities under ongoing ADB financed road projects. Our procurement specialist and my particular friend, Ms. Galia Ismakova, and Mr. Rafael Nadrishin will brief you about ADB's procurement policies and procedures. And Ms. Lisa Kellard-Courtney, Director of Prevention and Compliance Division from our Office of Anti-Corruption and Integrity, will walk through ADB's policies relating to anti-corruption, integrity, and complaints and measures to be taken. I hope everyone will make the most of this seminar. I wish you all the best and thank you for your participation and attention. Good morning to you all.
Thank you very much, Shiny. So please let me invite Mr. Rustam Abdul Karimov, the Director of the Procurement Division 2, Procurement Portfolio and Financial Management Department. He will give an introductory remark for the seminar overview, which we believe that help the participants to understand the overall picture of this seminar. Rustam, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rika. Доброе утро, дамы и господа. Доброе утро, участники сегодняшнего семинара. Доброе утро, представитель Министерства транспорта и господин министр. Для меня большая честь приветствовать всех вас на сегодняшнем.
Good morning, dear participants. Good morning, dear colleagues. And I would like to tell you that this is the first time, this is the first workshop this is the first time that we are having this workshop here. I would like to stop a little bit on the objectives and goals of such a workshop. So basically, first of all, you know that ADB is a development bank, and the objective is actually to improve the well-being of people in Asia and Pacific region. In the recent years, our portfolio we do extended our portfolio, but we still focused on the transport, infrastructure, and urban development. And we have a lot of opportunities for the consulting companies, for the contractors to take part in this, in the tenders opened by this center. So as up to present, the total amount of all projects implemented in all countries is over 100 million. And these are all projects which are basically implemented under the state sovereign state sovereign project. And we have also a lot of projects, so around 4 billion where or over 4 billion where there is no state guarantees, or and you know that 20 billion US dollars was provided by Asian Development Bank to all country members to combat COVID consequences, and 13 billions have been allocated actually in order to procure the medical equipment and vaccines. And as to the consulting services, so around 200 million annually is allocated by ADB for consulting services in order to get prepare projects in different areas. Just for you to have an impression on the size, on the contracts, we sign every year around 4,000 contracts with the individual consultants and around 250 contracts with the consulting companies. When it comes to the contracts with the suppliers, not with the suppliers, with the contractors, civil contractors, there are many of them, and it's difficult to give you the exact data, because there are a lot of countries where we are working or where the contractors are engaged in civil works. All those of you who have been already engaged in some activities of ADB and who had the opportunity to cooperate with ADB annually, ADB has organized in Manila big forum for consultants, for the contractors, and these were the 2-3 days forum where we shared different information about the projects, pipelines projects in different countries, in different sectors. We covered procurement issues and also provided opportunities for the networking, for establishment of the relations between the business community and ADB representatives. And the last forum was held in 2019, and it was around 1,000 representatives from different countries, and we have planned to hold this kind of forum in one of the countries of the region, not in Manila, because traditionally the forum invited representatives of
we see a lot
consulting
of reps from
companies,
the
and
consulting
we
company,
had
but
less
less with from the
representatives of the
construction
contractors, of
partners.
the
So we plan to
construction
arrange this
companies.
kind of
Therefore, we
seminar in
decided
one of the countries of the region
to
to
move
let the
our
contractors to
activities in
participate in this
organization of
seminar
this
right
kind
on
of
the
business
in the spot.
forums to the one of the countries of the
Unfortunately,
region,
from
so
the
that contractors
pandemic, we didn't manage to
so
arrange the way how we
could
planned.
take part.
So right now,
And up to
currently, it's
now,
difficult to
we
say
could not
when everything's going to
actually
be fine
do
and
it
situation
due
is
to
going to be
the COVID
stabilized,
situation,
when we
and
can
we don't
arrange
know yet when we can renew this
big
kind
event.
of high level or very
Nevertheless,
big in
our
terms of
goal
scale
is to continue
events.
this
And
interaction
nevertheless, we
with the
continue
business
working,
community in all the
and
countries,
we are working.
because we know that
We are working very seriously
most of the
in
big
order
support
to
is provided
support
by the
implementation, and we work a lot with consulting companies and with
starting
the
from the
contractors.
last year.
Starting from last year, we have
We
started to
started the
have
implementation of the
such
seminar
workshops
in a
in
virtual format, and it gave pretty good
virtual
results.
format, and we had quite successful
So
outcomes,
it
because
allows
this kind
to
of business
a big amount
opportunity
of
workshops
participants
enables
to join
more
this
people
kind of
to
seminar.
join,
Second,
and
everybody
so
already
you don't need to physically be
well
there
aware of
also.
the new technologies
I think it's not
that
a
allow
problem
to
today
conduct this
how
kind
to
of
use the
events
technologies in favor
via
of
the
raising the
using the video
awareness.
format.
It's
It also
also
allows us to cover
important to note that we could cover more
wider
sectors, more
sectors, and
issues
cover more issues.
with this kind of
As has been mentioned today,
activities.
our main goal is going to be transport sector.
And
As Mr. Minister mentioned, there are many projects being implemented, and the ADB closely works with the government of Tajikistan under the country programs, and also under the and also there will be opportunities So I hope that today's information is going to be useful. You're going to get more information on how ADB works and what projects are under the preparation within the nearest future, and how to prepare the proposals to win the tenders. And we hope that, so as a result, this is going to give you the opportunity to win the contracts in the project financed by the ADB. So for you to give the contribute to the development of your country, because Shani has already introduced our participants. I'm not going to repeat it. I just want to say that usually at this kind of event, there are many issues we receive from the audience. We won't be able, if we won't be able to answer all those questions today, we're going to provide you answers in written. So at this, I would like to finish my speech, and I would like to wish you the fruitful seminar, and I would like to give floor to Rika.
Hi, okay, so we are moving to the first topic, Please allow me to introduce Mr. Farooq Nuridinov, Senior Project Officer of the Tajikistan Resident Mission. He will provide the current ADB operation in the transport sector in Tajikistan, together with the indicative pipeline procurement opportunity with indicative timeline. Mr. Farooq joined ADB Tajikistan Resident Mission in 2009. Since then, he played an essential role for ADB transport sector operation and implemented several road projects in cross coordination with the Ministry of Transport and the project implementation unit for road rehabilitation. So Farooq, over to you. Thank you.
Rika-san,
Yes.
you need to allow me. I cannot switch the video.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I cannot switch switch the video anyway. Anyway, okay, let me start. Я приветствую. Yes,
Farooq,
Rika-san.
how about the slide?
Yes, 1 minute.
Okay, please. Thank you.
Rika-san, you need to give me access to show the slides as well as the video. I don't have access.
I see.
Him co-host that will allow him to do it.
Yes, because he re-entered. Okay, I assign now.
It's all right. Okay. Can you see my presentation, Rika-san?
Yes, I can see it. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Very good.
Mm.
Okay. Allow me to
Итак,
speak in Russian. Я приветствую всех участников.
I would like to welcome all the participants. I would like to welcome the Mr. Minister and as well as all the other participants from the Ministry of Transport. I would like to welcome all the partners from the PIU and all those who participate as and all the participants from the consulting companies and the contractors. My name is Farooq Nuruddin. I'm not able to switch on my video, but I will briefly talk about the opportunities that you will have within the nearest future. But before I'm gonna start, I would like to thank Mr. Minister because he told in details about the projects that are implemented by the ADB in Tajikistan and about our plans. So I would like to thank to Mr. Rustam about the joint moment of our today's seminar. Therefore, right now, as you can see on the first slide, you see right now on the screen, before I gonna tell you about the current projects that ADB implements right now, and, and Mr. Minister already told about them, I would like to say that that up to now we already started the first project. We started implementation of the first project in the late 90s, and today the amount of the project which we have in the transport sector is almost over $700 million. And in most cases, these are the grant funds, the grant investments. All the participants that represent consulting companies and the contractors that participate today at this seminar, I think most of them are from the Republic of Tajikistan. So I would like to say that all the transport projects that implemented in Tajikistan, they implement under the on the around or close to or correct Central Asian regional economic collaboration, and all the roads that financed by the bank. All these roads are part of the CAREC. For example, up to now, we have financed the whole section of the from Dushanbe to Karamik to our neighbor Kyrgyz Republic, and also we have financed the road from Dushanbe to to Uzbekistan border from Dushanbe, so Dushanbe to Suzade. Also, we have financed the Aini-Penjiken road, and right now the current projects which are under the implementation, these are mainly Dushanbe Kurgantube, and I will talk briefly about it. We financed the 73 kilometer section, then from Dushanbe to to the bridge Kizilkala, from the bridge from the Kizilkala to Bokhtar or the Kurgantube. This section the section is like 9 kilometers, and it's going to be financed by JICA. Also, quite we just launched the big project. This is the new route. This is called Obigarnu Robot project. This project where bank invests almost $110 million of grant funds, and along with that we have other IFIs and like the OPEC, like the EBRD, as well as the AIE. So this project just started, and this project is going to be a brand new road, as you know, and it includes 76 kilometers plus 3 tunnels. Also, one more project that just started last year. It's called the Road Network Sustainability Project, with the budget of $67.5 million. And Mr. Minister already just talked about this, that we're going to finance the rehabilitation and the improvement of the road from Hulbuk to the Timur Malik to Kangurt, and then the Dangara, and from Dangara to Okmazor. So under this project, we have a small component, and I will briefly talk about it. Also, we have the project which you probably had chance to. So it's not the presentation. It's called the RIPS. That's the Karek Regional Improvement of Border Services. So far we have 5 ongoing projects. So I'd like to say, before I gonna move to the next floor. So before I move to the next slide. So this is the next slide. So I would like to say about this slide. So our participants, the consulting companies and the contractors, I would like to welcome you on behalf of the bank, and welcome you on behalf of our main, very reliable partner, Ministry of Transport and the PIU. So we, as you can see, all transport projects, all the road projects, we hire the contractors to implement the construction activities, plus the consulting companies are selected to do the oversight over the construction. Also, we have companies that we hire not just to do the oversight and supervision, but also for the project management. For example, if we take the Dushanbe-Kurgan-Tube road, for example. We have two phases there. So bank invests almost $157 million for the both phases. And in this, we have two phases. One is 33 kilometers, second is 40 kilometers of the road improvement. It's not only the road improvement, but it's extension of the road. Out of 2-lane, we make 4-lane road. That's why we have hired the construction companies through the ICT, and also we have hired the consulting company that runs not only the supervision over the construction, but also it helps the PIU with the. So we held the PIU under the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry with the project management, because in every project, in addition to the construction activities, there are also other components, which we call them the soft components. So for Dushanbe-Kurgan-Tube project, we have Cox company. It's the German company. So this company helps us and the government with the project management and only doing the supervision. So I would like you to pay attention to this table. I hope you see it all. You all see it. So what does it mean? Look at the first line. So it says the contract package, the estimate amount, then the bidding procedures or the procurement method, and the indicative advertisement schedule. So the first thing is it says priority safety improvement. It says in 2 words. Let me explain you. So under the project of the Dushanbe-Kurgan-Tube road, specifically second phase. So because it has 2 phases, first phase and second phase. So the second phase is called additional financing, where bank invests $90 million. We have bank has allocated in coordination with the government $10 million, and these $10 million we call them black spots. What does it mean? For example, so we work with the consulting companies and the ministry and the PIU. They have prepared the report, and in this report they have identified several sections of the road throughout the Tajikistan where Tajikistan faces frequent car crashes or car accidents. For example, some of these sections that have been selected that they're going to be improved. For example, they're going to be improved, and after the improvement, to minimize the amount of the car incidents and fatal cases of the car crashes. So that's why we call these spots black spots. So right now, within the nearest future, in July or August, we're going to conduct a number of tenders. So we expect 3 tenders. First, for $4 million, the rest $2 million each. So this is the indicative number. In the nearest future, the tender is going to be announced. So we would like the contractors that are working in Tajikistan, we would like them to participate. For example, when you look at this table, we had to have 4 packages, but you see only 3 packages. Why, you may ask? Because the tender for the first package is already announced, and right now we are doing the hiring of the contractor. This is the section of the road, Dushanbe-Baghdad road. So dear contractors, please, each of us know, we all know Dushanbe-Baghdad road. This is 9 kilometers, and at night there is absolutely dark. There are no any conditions, and there are very difficult conditions for the pedestrians to cross the road. So the tender is announced. It's a 9 kilometers of the road. So it's going to be equipped with the crossroads. The situation is going to be improved for these 9 kilometers for them to be, for us to minimize the amount of the car crashes, minimize and give the opportunity for the pedestrians to cross this road, not the way how it's happening right now. That's why when tender is announced, within the nearest future, the contract is going to be selected. So please, so tenders announced. So report is prepared by the ministry. It's already approved. So these sections are already determined, and the consulting company together with the PIU, they're preparing the tender documents. Please check the announcement. So here you can see the link at the top. So we are going to have 3 tenders, two local ones and one international tender. That's why in case of the questions, you can approach the PIU and talk about these road sections. They can let you know, or you just be part of this tender. Let me close. So the next line, it says equipment for the road asset management system, or RAMS. So what does it mean? Look, if the first one, what I told you is that it's about the construction, so all the works are, all the contractors can participate, which means we're going to improve the road turns, we're going to improve the intersections. It's all relevant to the construction. The second, it's not the construction, it's the procurement of the equipment. We call it RAMS, Road Asset Management System, and Minister already told that we are working, we work with, that the ministry works with the ADB and other investment banks, and already action plan is already developed. Also, the team is established under the ministry, which consists of 6 members. The minister underlined this. So within the nearest future, in August, we're going to have the tender for the procurement of the equipment, specifically for the RAMs. So please, so it's the overall amount is 1.4 million. So we are completing the mission. And in August, you're going to find out that what this 1.4 million includes not only equipment for the RAMs, but also expect that it's gonna include the equipment, the laser scanners for the ministry itself, and also it's gonna be procurement of equipment for the team, for the RAMs team, which was established within the ministry. So we're gonna have in August 2021, specifically for the procurement of the equipment, of different type of equipment, and it's going to be the international tender, international bidding, and the submission is going to be one envelope. So please, all the companies, not only contractors, but all the companies that engage in, all the IT companies, all the suppliers, you can participate in this tender. Please look at it, wait for the advertisement and look for the advertisement. The next one is our pride, actually. The first two, so this is the demo for the Dushanbe Baghdad. I'm sorry. Dushanbe Kurgan to be phase 2. So look at the third. What's that? It says equipment for the lightning, using the solar backup systems for the medical points and the schools and the pumping system to provide clean drinking water. So the amount is $1.6 million. I would like to tell all the participants that this tender was announced today. Tender, the announcement is already placed. So the estimated amount is 1.6 million. Why I'm saying it's our pride? Because here in project we had one thing, but based on the request of the consultants we have hired, and the PIU and the ministry and the Minister of Finance himself, we're gonna provide water for 7 villages that had no water already for many years. So they were forced to get the water from the 9 kilometers away, the source, because like 9 kilometers away from the villages. First, we're gonna provide the lightning. So we're gonna provide the lightning of the Dushanbe Dangara tunnel, lightning in this tunnel. Second, we're gonna provide the solar panels for one school and 2 hospitals. And the most difficult and the most needy one is what we want to establish. We install the pump, which would work using the solar barrels. It's going to be pumping water. Then this water is going to be distributed among the 7 villages. The tender is announced today. Please approach the PIU. Look, you can check that website. So these are the local competitive bidding, but there is one but there. Please pay attention. There is one aspect there. Please pay attention to it. So this tender is announced. So all the participants, this tender is financed by the special fund under the ADB. It's called the Green Energy Fund under the ADB. So we urge all the contractors to participate in this tender. And the final one, is the Road Network Sustainability Project. So this is tender to all the interested consulting companies. When all the consulting companies, where the estimated cost is like $600,000, and we're going to be hiring the consulting company. They're going to assist the team of the Ministry of Transport. I mean, specifically the team that's been recently established for the RAMs, which Minister just talked about. So these are the international bidding. This is the international bidding, and the procurement there is going to be, it's going to be full technical proposals. You have to provide the full technical proposal, separately financial proposal, then the date of the June. So we are expected till the end of the June, the tender is going to be announced. So dear participants, dear representatives of the consulting companies and the contractors, please. So this is what we expect, and this is what you can expect from the bank. Several construction contracts, a contract for the procurement of the equipment, of the specialized equipment for the Ministry of Transport, as well as the contract for the consulting companies. This is what we can offer you or share with you, says Farouk.
Okay,
So I would like to thank all of you.
okay, Farooq
And
Kaka, thank
I
you
would
very
like
much.
to finish.
Thank you very much, Farooq Kaka. Hi, thank you very much. Very informative presentation. Before we move forward, please allow me, please kindly accept my apology that some voiceover rap happened before the Mr. Farooq presentation. It's mainly because of the Zoom microphone issue. The technical issue is already fixed, so we hope that such voice overlap wouldn't happen anymore. So please let us move to the next topic related to the ADB business procedure and the procurement principle. The 2 procurement specialists are invited here to give you the overview of the ADB's operation, procurement framework, principle, consultant recruitment procedure. First part will be provided by the Ms. Garrier Ismakova, Principal Procurement Specialist. She had a very robust experience in recently taking the leading role for procurement, e-government procurement agenda. She is an associated member of the Chartered Institute of the Procurement Supply, as well as the Chartered Institute of the Personal Development. Second speaker is Mr. Rafael Nadirinson, Senior Procurement Specialist based in the Papua New Guinea Resident Mission, who he oversees the Pacific region procurement portfolio covering the various sectors, including the transport sector. He joined the bank in 1998. Since then, he has been involved in various procurement exercise in various regions. So, Gabriel, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rika. Доброе утро, ассаламу алейкум.
Good morning, salam alaikum, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. I'm and Rafael Nadir, my colleague. We're going to tell you about the procurement, ADB procurement system. We prepared a lot of slides, and some of them we're going to go through them, but nevertheless, you will be able to get those slides if you want to. we included information way more than it's possible to deliver over the 30 minutes that been allocated to us according to the agenda. So let us start. So overall, I'm gonna talk about the ADB. I mean, procurement procedure, the procurement guidelines for the borrowers, guidelines and instructional procurement procedures applicable to the goods, construction, civil works, and the turnkey, and also the procedures that can be applied to the consulting services and services in general. So what ADB deals with, what's the function of ADB? We have put here the link. So several links to YouTube where you can visit and watch small clips what ADB is doing right now. So ADB was established by the 31 member country in 1966. Since then, the number of members increased to 69. 49 of them are placed in the Pacific, Asian Pacific region, and 19 beyond that. Why it is important to know? Because due to the fact that there is such issue like the eligibility, who can participate in the tender. So ADB provides this a wide range of the financial products that help to the social development. It includes the credits, grants, and technical assistance. So the financial, the public sector or the sovereign financing is aimed to support the government of the developing countries and public sector, including the state-owned enterprises too. So the sovereign lending or the financing, which is provided by with the state guarantee, shapes the main part of the ADB portfolio. If we remember, Samaka told that more than $100 billion is the portfolio, is the sovereign lending, and 14 billion is the portfolio of the lending without the guarantees or warranties. So how ADB finances the project? So ADB finances the using different funds and resources, including its own resources, as well as using the co-financing. The project cycle of DB is the different stages, starting from the country programming all the way to completion and project assessment. Documents are prepared during the project, disclosed during the whole project cycle in line with the requirements to the opening of the information and the policy of the access to the information. ADB provides the financing for the projects which going to contribute to economic and social development of the relevant country and provide the biggest influence on the reduction of the poverty in line with the country strategy and the ADB. So if we look at the project cycle, so it starts with the country partnership program strategy and the regional cooperation strategy. You heard a lot about the CAREC project, and the CAREC projects are the projects that are covered by the regional cooperation strategy. So based on the country partnership strategy or the regional partnership, so the project preparation is done. Then each of these projects goes through the approval process by the board of directors of the ADB, and then the implementation starts. After the implementation, this project is evaluated. 25% of all the projects, ADB projects, are subject to this evaluation. You also can find the information about the country partnership strategy at the ADB pages. You can find the country partnership strategy with Tajikistan if you If you're gonna go to the ADB webpage,
найдете его через,
and you're gonna find through the search engine or through the through the country page. So we need to tell you about the system, procurement system of ADB. So the key documents here are ADB procurement policy, so procurement regulations for ADB borrowers, as well as the regulations and the instructions to the procurement. All these documents you can find in the open access at the ADB page. So if you look at the documents that are applied to the ADB projects till 2017, we had two documents. We had a document, procurement guidelines and the consulting guidelines. So the procurement guidelines, it was the guidelines for the procurement for the procurement of goods, works, and services, and also civil works. The consulting, so the goods and the construction and the civil works, consulting for the procurement of the consulting and non-consulting services. After 2017, ADB has joined two documents into one, which is called ADB procurement policy. So the key principles of the procurement is the efficiency, fairness, transparency, and quality, and the quality and price, optimal quality and price ratio, and the price itself cannot adequately reflect the relationship between the price and the quality. So ADB is the only IFI that determines the quality as the one of the key principles of the procurement. Previously, this usually been applied only to the consulting services. Also, it is also important the compliance with the goals of the assignment. Why it's done? It should be done that the procurement, the procurement should show the strategic needs and the consequence of the situation. Which means for like Tajikistan, it is not, the procedures are not can be applied, which could be applied for the Pacific countries or for the big lender like the China or India. So also another important criteria, as I already touched upon about the participatory card, is the eligibility. So what does it mean? It means that during the procurement there should be companies should participate which are already registered and which produce goods or provide any other commercial activity on the territory of the country members of the ADB. There are some exclusions from the eligibility criteria, but they are mainly intended for the situations with the co-financing. ADB can also agree to apply the rules and procedures of another IFI or organization that participates in the project, or can agree that this party can take the leading role with the implementation of the project and monitoring of the activity. What does it mean? Many ADB projects are the projects which are co-financed with other IFIs, with other banks like Asian Bank on the Infrastructural Investments, EBRD, World Bank, and so on. Sometimes we are co-financing the projects with the bilateral organizations. In these cases, it is very important to ensure the harmonization of the procedures and the eligibility or the acceptance of the procedures to what we try to achieve together. So method and procedures of the procurement are pretty familiar to you. Open tenders, limited kind of the frameworks agreement, the request of the price, electronic reverse auction, single source, or use own funds. Special cases are the selection of the consulting companies, selection of the individual consultants, procurement from the specialized agencies, including the agency or the organizations of the UN, the procurement in the non-stable or conflict situation, use of the procurement agents or the so-called support of the state project based on the partnership with the private sector, so the so-called PPP, procurement of technology of the high-level technologies, so the selection of the with consideration of the performance-based selection, and also there is a special case when the procure, so the procurement under the credit is guaranteed by the ADB, but not financed by the directly by the role and the responsibility of ADB is limited by the fact that ADB runs the oversight. Oversight is the oversight of the borrower can prepares the procurement plan, is legally responsible for the procurement. So the borrower gets the proposals and bids and then assigns and then awards the contracts. The contract is signed between the suppliers and the contractors and the borrowers. The ADB is not a part of the contract. Responsibility over the procurement of goods, works, and services is solely with the borrower. The role of ADB here is to check the procedures of the procurement of the borrower, documents, assessment of the proposals, recommendations for the awarding of the contract in line with the approach based on risk-based approach with the pre and post analysis or the simple sampling to guarantee the process of the procurement is implemented in line with the agreed procedures. ADB can provide the extended support, but without limiting the responsibility of the borrower for the implementation of the procurement or participate in the process of the decision making on procurement or on the procurement. So if you ask me, what's your role? What you have to do as the participants of the, you can consider, is there any kind of the admittance or the some internal conflict or the conflict or specific technical assignments which are not clear or sound discriminative or delimiting. In, in this case, in this case, you can ask the written explanation within the time frame that's set for the getting the clarification. The criteria, methodology, selection of the winners of the tenders are reflected in the tender documents. If they are not, so if you think that if the borrower is not going to answer you, you can copy, you can CC the ADB when you request for the information. Okay, so if every participant thinks that every so any participant think that it's not in line, so it should raise this issue with the ADB procurement. So the member of the bid defendant should raise any kind of issue about the conflict or their meetings before submitting its proposal to ensure the full compliance with the requirements of the that are confirming the documents that are requested in the tender
are in
documents.
line with all the requirements which are
So the
indicated
non-compliance of the critical
in
requirement,
the
technical and
documentation.
commercial, will going to lead
Non-compliance
to
with the
the
critical requirements,
deviation or
technical
the
and
rejection of
commercial,
the
can
requirement
lead
if the
to
participant
the
of the tender
rejection of the
wants to propose some kind of deviations
bid.
from the
If
critical requirement,
the
he or
bidder
she
would
has to
like
specify the full price of the
offer some
compatible
deviation
and then
from
to provide
non-critical
a
requirements or of
correction
alternative
of the price
decision,
which
that the
could be
bidder
provided
should
if there's going to be some
indicate the
deviation.
price of the completely compatible proposal, and then indicate the corrected prices which should be offered if the this deviation is accepted. Alternative decisions should be offered only when they are allowed in the tender documents. Otherwise, it is not allowed, including that the bidders are not allowed to change any content of their bid. Information about the opportunities for participation in the bids as part of the tenders can be received from the procurement plans or from the special, procurement notices. General guidance could be received on the website of ADB. Quite recently, there was a special panel of statistics opened, and you can get more data from there. However, you should know that no one can stop you from applying to the bids which are open for the other country. So there is a link to the website with the statistics platform, and you can get information about the size. You can also get information about the size of portfolio. This is where you can find information about the biggest number of contracts. As you see, the largest number of contracts as of now, which is possible for issuance, is in India, for example. Then comes Philippines, Bangladesh, China, Pakistan, Nepal, etc. So, information about the ADB projects can be found on the ADB website. Projects and tender documents, tenders, not the tender document, but tenders. They can also be found on the link that is shown here. The procurement plans, which I have already mentioned, that can give you information in terms of planning of your participation in the tenders, are disclosed on the website of ADB, and they are published on a daily basis. If we look or review the documents applicable to the use of consultants and service suppliers or service providers, so before 2017, the documents the documents or the rules have been included in the guidelines on the use of consultants. After 2017, all this information is contained in the ADB procurement policy and procurement regulations for the ADB borrowers. I can tell you that ADB continues the policy of innovation and using the artificial intellect. So you can use it to search information on procurement. Unfortunately, it only works in English language. So if your English language is not very good, then this PIA, which is the a personal intelligent assistant, can help you only in English, but you can use the Google translation, for example, and you can find information here about how the consultants are do it, what are the rules. You can actually make a search, and the search can give you all information related to your query or on the website, and that is somehow linked to this issue. This is the invitation for bids, which is published on the ADB website. I give you an opportunity on how the document looks like. So this is a template invitation for bids. And so how it looks like when the local firms are encouraged to actually invited, encouraged to participate. And this is the request for quotation. This is another procedure which is used when you would like just to get the price bid from the participants as minimum. Also, for some complicated, sophisticated projects, we also use the pre-qualification of bidders, and ADB is posting information about the participants so that you know so basically, you know whom you are competing with, who are the participants, or which companies have applied. And for the selection of ADB consultants, the ADB is using this very system, ADB Consultant Management System. This is the E system, allows to find information that gives information that about the project's activities where the consultants, individual consultants are hired or are invited to take part. And it contains general information about the companies also. It contains information about the assignment, deadlines, and conditions to participate, and also about the companies that have been invited to take part in this process. If you were not able to, or if you were not shortlisted, then you can still apply to be hired as a sub-consultant or subcontractor. So we also pre-post historical data so that everybody could see who was invited to take part in the selection process. I mean, in the process, yes, in general, and also the contracts awarded. Our system for the consultant management, we also give information which is called, or we have such a tab which is called consultant tab. This very sub-menu has a lot of information about how to take part in the bid open for consultants, and what you can do in order to submit an effective proposal or bid. Let me briefly move through the consulting services because all these could be read by you afterwards, and I would like to give more time to my colleague Rafael to talk about the procurement for the procurement of goods, services, and works. You also should know that after 2017, several provisions have been amended or changed, and the new provisions have been added, and these new provisions allow us to, for example, hire the consultants from any eligible country which is not, for example, country member. For example, if there is a Tajik company that has experts from Russian Federation, so these very experts, they can be so they can take part in the bid or in the process, in the tender process, to be hired as consultants. Also, ADB can agree to give you the request for quotation in the local language. This is used when there is a national package, national consultancy package, and when foreign companies will not likely participate in this process. New provision about complaints. So for this very complaint related to the for this very provision related to the complaints, you can make a complaint, and the consultant actually can submit its complaint following the procedures in writing, but this could be related to the conditions of the request and the decision to reject the consultant from the procurement process or from the tender process, and the general decision of the clients to avoid the contract. So these are the three decisions. With this, I would like to finish my presentation, and I would like to give a floor to my colleague to continue with the procurement of works, services, and goods.
Спасибо, Галия. Ассаламу алейкум. Доброе утро, уважаемые участники.
Galia. Good morning, dear participants of this workshop, and my turn to continue my part of the presentation. I would like to give you some information about the practical aspects of the preparation of the proposals and how to avoid the typical errors or mistakes which the participants of the tenders opened for the constructions, for the procurement of goods do or make. And this is based on my personal experience, based on the experience of my colleagues. Of course, this review cannot be complete, and therefore during and after this session you can ask your questions or get clarification on the information that is not covered, and I hope that this will be very useful for the Tajik companies, for the Tajik contractors, so that in the future they could effectively take part in the bidding process. And also it will be related to the project and to the business opportunities with respect to the current project that have been covered by Mr. Farooq Nureddinov. Well, let's look at the country's operation business plan for Tajikistan, and I took this plan because it was translated in Russian in general. On the website you could see English version of the new plan, operational plan that will be covering 2021 up to 2023. And it is recommended to review very carefully this business plan so that you can select one of the project that might be of your interest. And here, as we could see from the audience, we mainly work with the construction companies, with the transportation companies, and probably you will be interested in this very project for the reconstruction of the Bokhtar Dangara Gulistan section, and the total amount is 50 million. So this is the starting point where you, and this is very important, you should identify with the sector you want to work with and with the specific project. So after this first step, then it is important to learn in details the procurement plans, and talking in general, the plan of procurement describes the procurement activities of the project in order to achieve the economic, environmental, and social objectives, and ensuring the optimal benefit and manage effectively the risks. It also provides the descriptions of the specific contracts for the goods, works, and services requirement for the implementation of the project, and identify the methods of procurement and types of tender documentation. Also, it includes the procedures that will be utilized by ADB, I mean, prior or post review, and mechanisms for the contract management. In general, it should be taken that this very plan of procurement is a central document that should be taken, and this document is usually prepared before even the project is started, and it is updated annually with the course of the project implementation. I don't want to stop on this slide because I have already this was already shown to you, and the procurement plan could be found in this very window on the website. Once you really enter the website and look at all these windows and tabs, you will definitely find a lot of useful links, a lot of useful information, and you know very well how to actually explore it more. So this is the, you see the window where the call documents where these plans are posted. And what is very important that basically these are the approved procurement plans, and this helps you to know which package will be procured. So otherwise, these plans are not posted. As an example, let us look at what is included into the plan of procurement. This is the list of procurement for the construction services. This is the project for Georgia, construction of the basically corridor, east-west corridor, and basically this is the section of the road East 60 highway route, heavy Ubisha, and so the tender announced was the open competitive bidding, open for the international, yes, company. So basically advertisement was international, and you could see the method, the review, which is from ADB, as I have shown. This is, yes, I'm trying to highlight it. You see this is the prior review. So, and the same procurement plan could be found as part of those projects that have been listed by me. Further, we can move to, let me skip the slides because Galia has already mentioned how to find the contracting notices, advertisement. Yes, so, and as I said, this could be the invitation for bids, or it could be the just some general procurement notices. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate and ask me, because we will just speak maybe a few details. And in terms of practical advices, I would like to give more time to the issue related to how to prepare for this for the proposal. Actually, first of all, once you identified the sphere, the sector where you can get the maximum benefit, yes, for your company, you have to collect all the available business information. And for that reason, you have to identify more general, more global objectives of the project, not just to learn that basically the project is aimed at construction of the road, but that, for example, the traffic will be increased, that basically traffic will reduce the timing and reduce the fees or the costs associated with the transportation of goods, or the people and let's say the drivers can get the benefit because it would be safer. So, and then after you have identified more global objectives of the project, you have to evaluate, assess very well your technical and financial capacity. And you have to also so go back and review your experience in similar projects. And of course, you have to learn more about the strategy for the cooperation between ADB and country, and also operational business plans in different countries. And this is very important because it can help you to really identify what else could be expected in this very sector, in this very field. Also, it's important to understand how the project will be implemented, what kind of limitations could be in that project in terms of landscape, security, safety, so some other operational details. In order to understand it better, then I think it would be important to go and visit the future sites. I know very well that you probably understand, let's say, the landscape, the geography of your own country, of your regions, yes, but if you're moving to the regional market, to the neighboring country, of course, this is very important. I remember there was once when we, together with the executive agency, together with the participants of the tender, so from the Asian Pacific region, we actually visited the sites, and I remember sometimes it took like 2 or 3 days due to the weather conditions in order to get to that site and really estimate what could be done and what the project is going to do on that very site. It's important to identify local partners and also subcontractors. Identified basically the prices for the materials, transport, for the equipment, and there was an experience whereby I remember one project required even to import the sand, to the site, and this should be done by sea. So these things needs to be checked and verified before. And then it's important also to learn about the project documents. And here we mean the report and recommendation of the ADB president. Then also PAM, so project administration document. And I do recommend you to read very carefully, including the standard tender documents. I don't know if they're available in Tajik language, but I know that the Russian translation of this standard tender documentation or the instructions are available on the website. Also check the website of ADB for publication. Here, now we have already discussed, and Rustam talked about it, that it is very, very important to actually get more information about the ADB. And in the past, before COVID, you could actually visit, let's say, HQ of ADB and 5 key departments responsible for the project, and also take part in the forums. I hope that we can renew these traditions and organization of these business seminars, as was mentioned by Mr. Rustam. And of course, it's important to meet with the executive agencies, with the stakeholders, with the government. And as was mentioned, it's important to be registered in the consultant management system, CMS, so that you know about the latest information. So let's quickly move through the key rules or key procedures. So it's important to follow the instructions, the tender instructions which are prescribed in section 1. There are 9 sections in general in the tender documents, and it's important to really read the instructions, which is section 1. It's important also to review carefully the mandatory qualification requirements for the bidders, which are provided in the section 3 of the same document. And after this, it's important to review also the section 6, which is the technical requirements of the client to the performance of the work. And this is very important to understand which role will be, or where the company could be acting as the contractor, because you can really understand from reading these documents whether your company is eligible, whether the company has enough experience and can do that.
It's very important to provide the specific proposals and provide all the necessary information with the special format of the provided in the section 4 of the documents. The key comment here, it is not allowed to provide to set requirements in the tender proposal. For example, my personal experience shows that there were cases when the bidders provided the financial proposal said that the price of our bid is this in case the government is gonna exempt us from the import of the equipment, or the implementing agency has to provide all the necessary information on some sand quarries, or the price going to be increased on 1.5%. In this case, we say that this is condition in your tender, in your bid, and these conditions are definitely usually rejected. As has been said previously, it's very important to clarify in written if something is not clear in the bidding document. In one of our tender, ADB and the implementing agency received 130 questions, and we were forced to answer those questions in written. It says about two aspects: either the tender document or the specifically technical part was weak, or the bidders wanted to get the clarity in details, maybe both. But the essence is here: don't be afraid, don't be shy to ask questions and clarify aspects which are not clear to you in the bidding documents. Keep bombarding with questions, but do it in written, and do it through our system or through the email system. So the key mistakes or key errors during in the tender documents, in the bids. Usually bids are submitted without the signature. There are cases when they are not bank guarantees attached, or the participation of declaration or participant declaration. Quite frequently, the submitted bank guarantee is insufficient in terms of the money which is required, or the requirement, the financial requirement. It doesn't meet the financial requirement. So there are cases, there are aspects which you have to, before you submit your bid, you have to attentively look through them in order to avoid any mistake or in terms of the incomplete package, and resending these documents again, which causes the additional time, and then when you have to deliver those documents on time. Also, there are some other typical mistakes. Frequently, we observe that there are the absence of the reports on the testing reports on the equipment if it's required by the tender documents. Also, there are cases of such a mistake as there is in the tender documents there is the conflict of interest is not fully described of all the potential, or not the full description of all the potential conflict of interest. One good example was the participation of the father and son in two different positions. The father was the head of the company participating in the tender, and the son was the member one of the coordination agencies of one of the committees, which did not participate, did not participate in the selection process. Definitely, this kind of proposals after the long review was rejected. So you have to be very attentive and very cautious that all the issues relevant to conflict of interest should be solved. Not often, but it also we meet when the financial proposals is included into the package of the technical proposal. are not in the overall package when it says the two-stage process of the financial and technical proposals. I understand I'm already beyond the time for that was allocated to me, but here there is one more very important aspect, and it talks about the qualification required criteria in the section 3. This is a very important section in the tender document, and it's very important the last 4 items which I would like you, where I would like to draw your attention. So the bidders have to provide the key financial indicators from their financial statements for the last 3 years. And at least the difference between the current assets and the obligations for the last should be positive. This is a very important financial criteria, which is not always observed, which has to be observed very strictly. Also, the experience for the similar contract for the last 5 contracts for the last 3 years, the amount of the contract should be 80% of the cost of the current contract. The average financial turnover shouldn't be less than 2 minimum, the minimum calculation indicator here. And the last one is the experience of the specific or the special works of your experience or your subcontractor, a very specific work, let's say, which are required during the construction of the bridges, for example, and the roads and etc. For example, it's the playing, it's like doing the construction works or the cement works or the concrete works in some seismic zones or in the extreme climate. And also I would like to talk about very important, to share this important slide and talk about these the last 2-3 slides are very important, where I would like to talk about the typical mistakes during the implementation of the qualification required in section 3. First, all the minimum qualification requirements have to be fulfilled by all the contractors and the subcontractors. So if at least one criteria is not performed, this proposal or this bid could be rejected. So let's quickly look through the main mistakes in all those 4 criteria I just talked about during the previous slide. Very frequent, not all the financial sources are reflected in the form in FIN 3. So in case of the events they're not shown, it's not allowed. There was one case, I remember, that a company for the specific contract, it opened the credit line in the bank and provided the bank document and made it only after when there was the bid opening, and it was required clarification when there was like the lack of the financial resources, which meant that the firm significantly improved its financial position by providing this banking document, and this is not allowed, as I said. Minimum cost of the established of the performed works should reach a certain level, as I said, 80%. There were cases quite recently. There was a case when the contract was offered with a big amount, you can see, in the amount of 64.1 million instead of required 65 million dollars. Even though it's formal, but the executive or the implementing agency can reject this, even due to this such a small difference, saying that you have the shortage of funds, or you have shortage of that minimum which we require from the contractors. So in this case, be careful and be cautious and try your best to fulfill all these obligations and all these minimum qualification criteria and requirements. Sometimes, that with the hope that the implementing agency won't check that the contract and the links to those, some of the bidders provide the contracts which are not required, they are not in compliance with the requirements. Quite recently, there was a requirement of the experience in the seismic zones. The bidder provided the contract in Kenya, in Africa, which is not in the seismic zone, but in terms of requirements in the tropical range, the contract was brought into China. You see, so this incorrectness can also lead to the rejection of the proposal. So if there is a requirement of having the specific experience in the specific conditions, in specific consequences of doing some specific experience, so please treat it very seriously and be accurate when you propose, and make sure you propose what is required and when you suggest what is required. Very frequent, when there is a requirement of providing a specific amount on the obligations to the current contract, the bidders say that there are so many contracts, there's tens and hundreds of the contract. It's not possible to, this is not accepted because the customer has to be make sure that there is the contractors have the financially viable. So that's why treat this seriously too. Very frequent, there are contradictions on the required equipment for the work. If the bidder already has the contract in the country, so the contractor provides the equipment that is already in work under the different contracts, even though it's not going to be the reason for the rejection of the proposal, but the customer has to make sure that for this particular contract, they're going to be a different equipment provided, and not the one which is already under the operation under different contract, a different project. As already said, in this review, we cannot bring all the mistakes, but it is important to remember that it is necessary to ensure that all the required information has to be provided. And I would like to underline one thing: don't be shy to ask questions on some things that are not certain to you. You know, I think that I already, way beyond the time I was given, already talked about what needs to be done after the awarding of the department. So for you right now, it's very important to understand what you need to do to get this contract. But after speaking about this slide or some additional questions, we can talk about the post-contract stage. So I think that that's it from my side. Gali already said, they talked about the results of the tenders and the discussions of the grievances. So I'm not going to talk about this here, plus about the anti-corruption policy, because the next speaker is going to talk specifically about this. So here there is, as usual, we provide the big list of the different links and also the useful sources. So probably that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rafael. And Rafael and Gabriel, quite comprehensive. We have a lot of message we want to deliver to the all participants, but we are running behind the overall schedule. But I would like to invite the Ms. Racer Courtney, the Director of the Prevention and the Compliance Division, Office of the Anti-Corruption Integrity. Please kindly stay with us. This last session is quite important and very, very principal for the procurement issue. Ms. Courtney, she is the director of the Prevention and Compliance Division. She has a very robust professional experience, the governance, ethics, and compliance. Currently, she is taking the lead for the implementing the integrity due diligence, management of the associated risk, and the preventive action of the corruption, fraud, and so on under the ADB finance project. So, Lisa, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to summarize ADB's approach in relation to anti-corruption and integrity. ADB has a zero tolerance for corruption, and it's also embedded in our broader commitment in ADB's Strategy 2030, where we partner to combat corruption and improve governance as an operational priority. Our focus is strengthening governance and institutional capacity so that skill sets, policies, procedures, systems and controls. We work with governments and government agencies on eradicating corruption and promoting effective, timely and corruption-free public services, and implementing anti-corruption measures in all ADB projects and programs. I will now play a short video, and please somebody advise me if the volume does not, if the sound does not come through.
Every morning before the sun is up, 9-year-old Anita and her 7-year-old sister Ella walk 4 kilometers to and from their village to fetch water from the river. This is the only way the sisters can get water for their family's daily needs. A year ago, a water supply project brought running water to their village. The children were very happy because they didn't have to walk so far anymore and could concentrate on their other chores and schoolwork. They finally had clean water to drink, cook, and clean with. Their lives greatly improved. Happiness was short-lived. The water soon became murky and undrinkable. Then the pipes went dry, leaving the community without water again. How did this happen to Anita and Ella's village? $100 million was spent on this water supply project. Sadly, it all started with a bribe. The contractor paid $1 million to secure the project, and construction started soon after. But he needed to recover the cost of the bribe, so the contractor used substandard pipes instead of new ones. These pipes were prone to leaks. Those responsible for inspecting the project turned a blind eye, and so the problem went unreported. The water supply project failed because of corruption among those who were involved in the project. Corruption destroys public services, pushes people to poverty, and endangers lives. In the end, we all lose. This is why ADB fights corruption and requires all parties that it works with to do the same. Violations of its anti-corruption policy, whether by staff, consultants, contractors, or suppliers, are not tolerated. What are these violations? Corruption, like bribery and kickbacks, fraud, or making false claims and forging records, coercion, like blackmail and extortion, collusion, by predetermining orders and bid rotation, abuse, such as using equipment and supplies for non-ADB activities, conflict of interest, like awarding contracts to family members or friends, and obstruction, like lying to investigators and destroying or concealing evidence. What are the consequences? Firms and individuals in violation of ADB's anti-corruption policy may be cautioned or reprimanded and pay restitution, but they may also face suspension or debarment. Those debarred cannot work with ADB for an imposed period, and they may also be debarred by other development banks. Loans or grants may be terminated, and misused funds must be repaid. And staff from executing agencies in violation of ADB's anti-corruption policy may be replaced. Corruption cannot be fought alone. ADB needs integrity champions like you. We are all responsible for implementing projects with integrity and due diligence. As integrity champions, we must be ready to scrutinize documents before signing them and report suspicious activities. We must be aware of project red flags and ensure accountability. Doing so will will safeguard funds for the project and benefit those who need them the most. Like the village of Anita, Ella, and their family, who must fight corruption on every level. By working together, we will win.
Thank you very much, everyone, for watching the video. And ADB does take a very serious approach to corruption and other integrity risks. And we define corruption as the abuse of any public or private office for any type of personal gain. ADB's policy is threefold. It is about promoting accountable, transparent, and effective public administration, supporting all anti-corruption efforts in the region with all our developing member countries, and ensuring that ADB projects and staff adhere to the highest ethical standards at all times. The policy is very wide-ranging. It applies to all executing and implementing agencies, including any project management units, all contractors, consultants, suppliers, and anyone connected to an ADB supported, administered, or financed activity. It also extends to all ADB staff and all ADB staff consultants. It is quite an intrinsic framework. It is our policy that is applicable, and it's underpinned by instructions and administrative orders, including whistleblowing and protection for those that are cooperating with an investigation. So what does our office actually do? We undertake a number of proactive activities because we believe that prevention is always better than the cure. We undertake proactive integrity reviews on select sovereign projects, integrity due diligence. We work with executing, implementing agencies and PMUs to enhance their knowledge and awareness. We conduct investigations, and we also undertake a lot of technical assistance, working with executing agencies and implementing agencies in helping them to strengthen their own control framework in relation to specific projects. The office is basically structured in twofold. It's prevention and compliance. As I just said, prevention is better than the cure, and we also undertake investigations. We are the initial point of contact for allegations of integrity violations, and we undertake investigations. It's also very important to understand and utilise ADB's complete sanctions list. What is expected by executing agencies, implementing agencies, and project management units is to conduct sanctions checks in relation when you're looking at bid evaluations, proposal evaluations, prior to shortlisting, contract awards or variations, extensions or modifications, and this needs to be done continuously during the life cycle of the project to ensure that no bidder, contractor, supplier, consultant, or any firm is currently on the ADB sanctions list. You need to apply to the complete list, which is shown on the right-hand side of the screen. What happens, it's a very simple enrolment procedure. You put in your details, we validate with the project officer, and then access is granted to the complete sanctions list. For those in your agencies or departments that may not need full access, they can still utilise the published list. But it's really essential to understand that you must check the complete sanctions list at a number of stages. It is part of preventive due diligence. So what happens if there is a violation? So as the video showed, there's a number of integrity violations. They are corruption, fraud, collusion, coercion, conflict of interest, abuse, obstructive practice, and also sanctions violations. So there may be an entity that is already sanctioned and it is undertaking a bid. It should not be, because that would be a breach of a sanctioned condition. And again, that's where it's very important for the executing agencies, implementing agencies, and project management units to undertake that scrutiny of ADB's complete sanctions list. The definitions are harmonized with other multilateral development banks. So what happens if there is an integrity violation? The baseline period for debarment can be 3 years, or it could be indefinite, depending on the aggravating circumstances. There is also mitigating circumstances that ADB takes into consideration that may reduce that baseline 3 years. There is a number of options open to ADB, which is debarment, temporary suspension, reprimand, or a caution. The consequences of a violation, the sanctions can apply to individuals as well as firms, or a combination of both. We can suspend loan or grant allocations or terminate such allocations, require the return of misused loan or grant resources. We can undertake changes and administrative arrangements, and we can request to investigate or change government staff, and also request cross-debarment through other multilateral development banks. The impact under the sanction, it stops future tenders. They are not permitted. Reinstatement after suspension or debarment is not automatic. It needs to be applied for. Contract variations require the Office of Anti-Corruption and Integrity's approval, and current contracts can continue, but they may be monitored. So again, I come back to please make sure that the anti-corruption sanctions list is scrutinized at all stages of the project to detect and deter abuse of the project by those that may be currently sanctioned. ADB is here to partner with executing agencies, implementing agencies, and project management units to ensure that as one and collectively we fight all types of corruption. We are open to discussion to see how we may be able to give technical assistance in policies, procedures, systems, and controls. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us through your project offices if we can assist further. Whilst our offices are closed during the pandemic, we are available online, and reporting integrity violations can be undertaken through a portal, either anonymously or not, and we are always here to assist. So considering the short timeline, I don't know whether we have time to open for any questions, but please don't hesitate to contact us through your project officers, your relationship managers, to see how we can assist further. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for comprehensive presentation for this very essential issue. We manage in the under the ADB financed project. Thank you very much again. Yes, the quite running out of time, but if you have any question, we would be open the floor. we received the one question who will do the monitoring and evaluation of the project implementation, and then Garia, our procurement staff specialist, who already respond the question with the ADB link. We have independent evaluation department, and then they're responsible for independent evaluation of the project, and then some ADB related policy and so or program. For if I may say, for the project review, when we reach the completion, executing agency for transport sector, the case, Ministry of Transport and the implementation agency, they will start the evaluation, and then we will and the ADB side, we have 5 criteria to evaluate the project. So we jointly evaluate the project following the 5 criteria. And then we conclude the project completion report with the the assessment based on the 5 criteria. Such report is available on the ADB website. I can post the website so that you will know how the project or the policy are how the project are evaluated. Sometimes the country program is also evaluated. The link I will share with you will give overall picture of the ADP evaluation exercise.
Уважаемая
Mr.
госпожа
Azim.
Рикаде,
Dear Rika,
Шани Кемпел, я очень рад видеть вас здесь на видеоконференции. А вы слышите меня, да? Есть перевод?
so dear Rika,
Спасибо.
so dear Rika, dear Shani Campbell,
Очень надеемся,
we very much hope that
вас видеть непосредственно
that
здесь.
we would be able to see you in person here in Dushanbe,
И мы надеемся, что это
and we hope that this COVID-19
найдется и вот эти вакцины помогут.
and this vaccine is going to be helpful to fight with this, and we're going to have this collective immunity, and finally we would be able to see we'll be able to see each other in person, not via the online conference. We want this very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, since this is the first seminar that was specifically developed for the transport sector of Tajikistan, I would like to thank the ADB for this approach and for this care. We really value this, and we're going to follow all those recommendations that we just heard today, and we're gonna intensify our collaboration with you. I was listening to your presentation attentively, and I already requested that the materials of all these presentations be provided to me, for me not to be able just to have a chance to look on the screen, but also be able to read them in person. I would like, because they are very good recommendation, I would like to thank all of these speakers. So I can say that
с теми интересными выступлениями, беседами и размышлениями, которые у нас было во время него, будет способствовать развитию транспортно-дорожного сектора Республики Таджикистан.
This very workshop will enable to develop further and strengthen the transport sector in Tajikistan. On our side, we believe that Tajikistan will continue its close cooperation with Asian Development Bank and will provide all the efforts to have timely and effective implementation of the project. And I also would like to express my sincere gratitude to Mr. Farukh Nureddinov for his presentation, for his input, and he has mentioned these black spots and projects, and of course all these components that are integrated into the road projects. They are contributing to the improved safety. When every Saturday I meet with the citizens and I receive a lot of complaints, I receive a lot of concerns from citizens that there are some road sides, so road sections which are very unsafe, and the support that is provided in this very respect to ensure the safe roads, secure roads, especially in this very road, for example, that was recently put into the operation from Dushanbe-Baghdad, significantly impacts basically the health and well-being of population. And we ourselves know how to drive along the roads in the night time with no light, road lighting. And this is, of course, very dangerous. And I don't want to reiterate, but I have to say thank you for all the support, for all the assistance. And we are very optimal, and we believe that we will be able to organize the road asset management system in accordance with the high standards, because this is very important. And last time, Ms. Rika Ide, if you remember, during our first meeting, our first conference, I told you that the issues related to the digitalization, the RAMS issues, are very important. This is a top priority. There are more than 2.5 billion money. If we take it in financial terms, I mean our roads assets, and we are very committed to continue development of this department, of these very aspects, including the creation of the road fund that would be used exclusively to maintain and ensure proper services for the newly rehabilitated, newly built roads. And at the end, I would like to say that even though we have projects, we have also as part of this project, these components provide for the consultants to be hired, and but despite the fact we still sometimes see that this is very, very important to ensure the quality of the work that we take and meet, so that we could discuss in such a manner in a working environment or in our technical meetings, we could further discuss any specific issues which could be related to the implementations of our projects, in order to ensure that projects are not only implemented effectively, but take into consideration the COVID related aspects, take into consideration all the necessary policies and requirements and procedures of the Asian Development Bank. And I think relevance very workshop showed that there are many issues that needs to be considered, that needs to be taken further, that needs to be started further, and we are going to review all the materials and further consider this in our work, and we will put our efforts to work. And at the same time, let me at the very end to say that we will listen to your recommendations, recommendations related your recommendation, Ms. Galia Ismakova, with respect to the studying English, because this is very important. So at the end, now I will continue in Russian, and the minister was speaking English. At the end, I would like to say that we will provide full support. My team, to the right, you could see my first deputy minister, Bobozoda, the heads of departments, including the head of department for the economic forecasting and analysis and economic, the foreign investments, chief engineer of our institute, and also state, state or city transport company representative is here. So they all made notes of the comments of this key messages, and they will take them further and apply them in their work. Thank you very much again for your support, and we're always committed to have close cooperation with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. I really appreciate your full participation. In fact, that I personally didn't expect that you could stay with us for whole session. I really appreciate your participation together with your team. Thank you very much always. Probably Galia, you might have some word.
Спасибо большое за такую хорошую оценку результатов работы АБР в Таджикистане.
Thank you very much for such a high and very good acknowledgement of the work and support provided by ADB to the people of Tajikistan. I'm very, very sorry for this direct advice that I give to all, that you have to learn English, and sorry if I offended you in any way. No. On the contrary, this I have taken not only for myself, but I also made this very important note that this is what we need like an air, because all information comes in English. My staff, my people, my team, they try their best to learn English, but on my own behalf, and we have a translator in Veronica who was supporting us with interpretation. She always was supporting me in studying English, and my English is not so good, but I also think that I have to try my best and to master English, because in this, I mean, this enables us to save a lot of time and to deeply enter to the core of the business. Thank you for this valuable recommendation, Ms. Galia. So I am trying to make my kids to learn Russian. Actually, this is what I do. So thank you very much. Indeed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes. Okay. So
the floor is yours.
Okay, for the document or material, we after the meeting, we compiled all the information first among ourselves, and then we try to share with you hopefully early next week. I hope that all participants, MOT team, you kindly give us some time for such a compilation and cleanup work before we share with you, all of you. Any question any questions so far? Otherwise, we can move to the closing remarks, and then Mr. Bobozoda, I heard that you will give us the closing remarks. So may we move to the closing remarks then? So okay.
Вопросов нет. Все говорят, что все поняли.
No questions. Everything is clear.
Okay. So may we close the session? Mr. Bobozoda, can I invite you for the closing remarks to close the seminar?
Да.
Большое спасибо. Я тоже
Thank you very much. Indeed, I also wanted to say that indeed we have received a lot of valuable proposals, recommendations, and as was mentioned, we are going to take them further and try to work on those recommendations, on those advices that have been given. Thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Professor, for your closing remarks. And then thank you very much all participation. Thank you very much staying with us for more 2.5 hour session. It's a little bit longer than expected, but I hope that all participants have the good learning opportunity from us for ADB business opportunity. And I hope that we will meet at the project site and so on. And then please keep monitoring the ADB website, which show procurement consultant recruitment opportunity day by day, not just for the Tajikistan, for other development, other member countries. So we look forward to see you in Dushanbe in Tajikistan or somewhere in the world. So thank you very much, Robert. Thank you. And then thank you very much, ADB colleagues, that you help us a lot. And then thank you very much. Without your assistance or cooperation or patience, this couldn't happen. So thank you very much all.
Связка начала.
For participant, we will send you a link, which link for the survey for your participant, for your perception, for your participation, even for your experience to join this session. We will send you today or early next week. Please kindly check my email, and I hope that you kindly participate in the survey. That will be very helpful for further improvement of the seminar operation. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rika-san. محترم وزیر با همین ما تمام کار دوستیم. رحمتی کلان شما با. رحمتی калон шумо. Спасибо всем большое. Спасибо.
Thank you very much to all.